What's up guys, Fahan here and welcome back to another ultimate review. This is probably one of the more anticipated reviews that I've ever have to do. This is of course the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR. Huge thanks to the Riders Collective for loaning me this bike for the review, and also Moto for facilitating with the review as well. Alright guys, so as usual, before we begin the review, we just want to highlight something important over here. Till now, we still notice that 58.8% of our regular viewers are not subscribed to the channel. And as you guys know, we've worked so hard on these videos, day and night, planning, scripting, shooting and editing. So please guys, I humbly ask you guys to subscribe. Why? Because this will actually trigger the YouTube algorithm to push out the channel and these videos to a wider audience. Okay, now we got that out of the way. Once again, we're back in the city of Medina, probably the best place to do a bike review and also my playground. And here I have today with me, of course, it's the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR. Huge thanks to the Riders Collective. This bike is available to rent, and they got a whole range of other bikes as well. So do check out their socials and Carousel and Instagram. Also, once again, huge thanks to Moto also for facilitating with the review as well. So I've been getting a lot of requests to do a review on the Ninja ZX-4RR in Singapore. After years and years of obscurity, Moto's has brought back the Kawasaki brand in the spotlight, and also went to the launch of the ZX-4RR, where all of the new owners collected the bikes. The brand, the bike is reintroduced with a bang, and there's a lot of hype surrounding this bike. This is of course due to the iconic inline-4 engine. The last bike to have it is the Honda Super 4, which is also a Class 2A bike, and Kawasaki continued the legacy of having inline 4s on smaller cc bikes such as this. And I have to say, it's an amazing ride. It's really an amazing ride. I have to say, I'm pretty nervous about reviewing this bike because all over the world, everybody knows about this bike, and there's a lot of hype surrounding it also. We got a 15-litre fuel tank with a projected range of 265 kilometers. Just now I topped it up. There's actually a range of 216, but I did not fill it up fully lah. So let's get this review started. Uses a key, okay. Twist the ignition. Get. Wow, in the fan, you can hear the fan so prominently right now because just now I've been running it for a bit, so it gets kind of hot. And the TFT gauge cluster lights up. Press down. The lovely inline-4 exhaust note and the smooth vibrations on this is really something that no parallel twin can replicate. Sounds very different from a Honda Super 4 also, which I feel is quite mellow. This is more deeper, but I guarantee you it's loud, and the exhaust notes is why you get such a bike. Clutch in, gear 1. And right off the bat is very torquey. This is currently in road mode, by the way, and if you were to put it in sport mode, the bike gets even more torqueier. So I'm gonna stick to road mode all the way. I did try it in rain mode, which is the pickup is even more mellow than this, but overall it's quite torquey when I first hopped on it lah. City settings, city riding, no issues at all. But this bike definitely wants to go fast, but yet you feel as if that you're in control of the bike totally. It's not so overpowering. It's quite mellow, and you can be aggressive if you want to with a twist of the throttle. Handling wise, it's very good. Leans and corners wherever you point the bike to. It's very nimble, it's very agile. It's probably one of the best handling Class 2A bikes, I will reckon. It doesn't feel heavy, it feels really feather light. Weight of 188 kg probably helps lah. So city settings, no issue. I feel but the riding posture, man, is just so aggressive. I'm certainly leaning forward quite a bit. The cockpit, it has a very nice view, but because of its very forward and sporty riding position, right, you don't see it often, and I find myself bringing my head up to look at the road in front of me, but it's not too distracting. Slipper clutch, okay, very easy to change gears. Not sure if it's right by wire throttle, but the throttle response is damn good. So despite it being a talkie ride, it feels really linear, feels really gradual, doesn't throw me to the back of the seat. I'm just having a lot of fun with it, but still you can get aggressive if you want to with a twist of a throttle. I just want to ride all day, man, with the bike. It's a very pleasant ride, other than the riding posture, which I'm not too keen, of course. Oh man. Oh my gosh, it brakes on a dime as well. Very good brakes.
Continuing the legacy of sub-400cc JDM imports of the 1980s, the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR is a full-blown superbike made to satisfy the Japanese licensing standards. Targeted mostly for Asian and developing markets, the Ninja ZX-4RR is described to be the most powerful sub-400cc bike in the modern era. Its inline-4 engine, coupled with great handling and performance, earned it legendary status off the showroom floor. Engine is a 399cc, liquid-cooled, inline 4-cylinder, 4-stroke, 16-valve, DOHC with Bosch electronic fuel injection and a 6-speed manual transmission.
Okay guys, so I'm quite nervous about reviewing the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR, given that this bike is considered a legend. It achieved legendary status on the day of its launch. Hopefully I get this right, and do forgive me if I get some points wrong lah. All over the world, reviewers have already reviewed this bike. In Americas especially, I've seen some videos from Fortnite and Revzilla. They were surprised to see a sub-400cc bike with all of these super bike features. But here in Asia, we are celebrating our asses off, and clearly you can see the different cultures between the States and Asia, because in the States, a sub-400cc is considered beginner bike category, while over here, because of the different types of incomes and also classes tiered accordingly, especially here in Singapore and Japan, a 400cc machine with packed all of these features would definitely make sense lah. So they can have the 650s, the 700s, the 1000cc's, while we get to enjoy our Class 2A beast of a bike. And just to mention, Kawasaki also did export the Ninja ZX-4RR to Europe as well. And given the different emission standards all over the world, the specs may differ from country to country or even region. So do check with your local dealer. And in Singapore, we may have gotten the full spec one, but I'm not really sure. But given that, you know, from my tests of this bike yesterday, oh my gosh, it's a beast of a Class 2A bike, guys. As I've said previously, I think on numerous reviews that I'm not really used or even keen on this sports bike riding position. As you can see, I'm leaning forward quite a bit, and it's very aggressive. Even with my legs, my feet on the foot peg over here, my legs are folding in quite a bit, and all of my body weight is on my palms right now, the handlebars. For me, I try to use my body to counter my weight, maybe even put my stomach on the tank over here like this. Try to get a good riding position for myself lah. And of course, after riding it for quite a while, your buttocks does get kind of sore over here. But surprisingly, my back is okay. It doesn't feel that bad at all. But yeah, I really need to get used to this, as I'm certainly used to the upright riding position of the adventure bikes. I think putting my stomach on the tank works for me, and you can also do this. I have to say that it's not that bad once you get used to it. And also with the seat height of 80 cm and 165, and I'm tilting slightly, so for me, no issues for vertical challenge riders. I feel even the weight at 188, it's so light. I can push it easily. Beginner riders will have no issues. And I think with its lightweight of 188, it really helps with the handling also. So for me, the handling is ultra good on the ZX-4R. I really love the handling. Other than the riding posture, I just love being on the bike overall. Okay guys, so up next we come to the general design of the Ninja ZX-4RR, and obviously, as you can see, being part of the Ninja ZX series, the 4RR retains an overall appearance and silhouette of its high-power ZX cousins. Angular lines and sharp angles everywhere, giving off that aggressive and sporty stance. Its angular and modern design blends really well with the riding technology and features that come with the bike. Kawasaki describes its ninja styling as exuding a fierce aura of restrained power and explosive action. Still, despite all of these angles and somewhat modern styling, it does not look too weird or futuristic, and it's recognized to be a modern machine, aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I must say, I'm sitting there and I cannot get enough of just looking at the bike overall. And if you ask me, it kind of looks like a smaller version of the Ninja 650. Also has somewhat similar lines to the base model Ninja 400, but the ZX-4RR is slightly more aggressive and there's more angular lines and vents on it. I really like the flushed signal indicators in the front. All of the Ninja models seem to have it, so it could be a Ninja trademark. The tail light itself is directly inspired from the Ninja ZX-10R, and also despite it having an inline-4 engine, which is supposedly very big and huge and bulky, like on the Super 4 for example, I'm surprised that they are able to fit the inline-4 for the ZX-4RR in the bodywork of the machine, and it doesn't look too big, it doesn't look too bulky, which adds a nice slim appearance to the machine itself, despite it being a fully flat machine. And also the ram air system, compared to the legacy model, which is the ZXR250, you can see the hoses popping out from the flarings, right? Or the air rest system on the ZX-4RR is integrated really well into the flarings, and you wouldn't know it's there until you see how chunky the flarings are lah. So the air intake is actually here, just above the twin headlights. Alright guys, so up next we come to the handlebar controls and TFT gauge cluster. Okay, so for the handlebar itself, as with any sports bike, it's a clip-on handlebar, so you are able to adjust the angles of the grips. I feel like it's slightly wider than in most super bikes, but I think for Kawasaki ZX-4RR, they want to retain or have some street characteristics to the bike lah, as people would daily the bike itself. And the Showa branding on the suspension caps over here, they're very prominent in gold. Very nice touch, I must say. Not too keen of the mirrors because it's actually on the flarings as opposed to the handlebar itself, and there's no place to put the mirrors itself on the handlebar, and you're lane splitting or there's cars all around you and trying to squeeze in between the traffic can be quite difficult with these mirrors. So be careful not to hit anybody if you are lane splitting. And also, I don't really like the fact that you cannot mount some accessories in here. Well, they did mount a ball mount over here to mount the phone mount, but there's like barely any space. Even the IU unit really stands out when it's on the handlebar. It really takes up a chunk of the space over here. Cannot wait to see when the new OBU comes in. So next comes the handlebar control. So to the left over here, okay, to the front, we got the flashing button, high beam, low beam, the multifunctional toggle up and down, lap. I will come into detail in a while. Signal indicators, horn, hazard, okay. To the right over here, we got the starter and select. Oh my gosh, there's a lot to explain over here. The 6.7-inch TFT display is a Kawasaki parts bin kind of thing. You may have seen this on some of the other Kawasaki models out there. To turn on, just push the key to ignition over here, and you see the TFT gauge cluster coming to life. Okay, how to go to the menu? There's no dedicated menu button, so what you have to do is, at the gauge cluster area, there's two buttons, so just long press both of them and you go to the menu. So to go to the respective settings, okay, press the left button and you can toggle between the vehicle settings, display, date and clock, service, Bluetooth, units, etc. Okay, to select, you press the right button and you can toggle accordingly lah. So the shift lamp currently is adjusted to 4500 RPMs lah. And the immobilizer lamp is also on. Okay, so to go back to the menu, long press the right button and then the display. So there's two settings you can adjust to. Okay, there's type 1, which is the street setting, and if you're going in the track, there's type 2. So back to the menu. Okay, date and clock to sync your date and clock accordingly. Service, Bluetooth. I'm not gonna go into detail on this, despite it having some features in it. It's basically quite basic, quite standard. So for the interface itself, there's some info that's being displayed over here. Okay, top left corner over here is the gear. The right of that is the riding modes. Below that one strip over here is the tachometer. To the bottom left is the fuel gauge. We need to top out the fuel lah. And then after that, to the right over here, we got the odometer and then the temperature gauge. Below that is the range, and then to the right of that is the clock. So when you press the multifunctional button, up actually toggles the odometer. So for the odometer, you can toggle to trip A, trip B, and back to the odometer. When you press down, it actually toggles the range, average speed, total time, voltmeter, fuel consumption, average fuel consumption, and back to the range. To adjust the riding modes, currently is ride mode, right? You can either press up or press down on the multi-controller. Okay, so this is a long press, by the way. So long press, sports mode, road mode, rain mode, rider mode. As you can see, the traction control and power will adjust accordingly. I'm going to adjust it to the track gauge cluster. I'm going to toggle the menu for a bit. And the difference is that there is actually a stopwatch that is prominently displayed on the gauge cluster. Press lap, and then after that there's a stopwatch feature over here, which is like, wow, so cool. And then you press lap again, it's gonna stop. This is lap 1. Lap 2, wow. There's a stopwatch on this, man. And finally, to reset the stopwatch, just simply press the left button on the TFT gauge cluster, and long press, by the way, and it will reset accordingly. Also to mention is the ride-by-wire throttle, and the brake and clutch levers are also manually adjustable. You can adjust it how far or how near you want the brake or clutch lever to be lah. Oh, there's a lot to cover, man. And of course, in the ZX-4RR's nature, it's a super bike, so it definitely comes with all the necessary riding technology that helps with the safety aspect and also performance of the machine. Okay, so just to list a few, and it's quite heavy in riding tech, I must say. We got full LED lighting all around, front and back, 4 riding modes, or what Kawasaki calls power modes. Each mode alters the bike's power map and traction control settings. Full color 6.7-inch TFT display, Bluetooth connectivity, dual channel ABS paired with a single piston Nissin but Kawasaki branded calipers, 2 rotors in front, 1 rotor in the rear. Stopping power is definitely there. For suspension, we got Showa SFF BP piston forks in the front, which are spring preload adjustable. In the rear, we got a Showa BFRC Lite fully adjustable monoshock. Also, we got an up and down quick shifter, also known in Kawasaki special terms as the KQS or Kawasaki quick shifter. That is standard on the Kawasaki ZX-4RR. But unfortunately, it doesn't come with auto bleeper, so you need to off your throttle before you shift up or down. And finally, a 3-mode traction control system, also known as Kawasaki Traction Control or KTRC. Okay guys, so horn check for the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR. What a cute little sounding horn. I certainly did not expect that. Alright guys, so armrest to come to colors, and the ZX-4RR only comes in one color, which is this green color. It has to be Kawasaki green, its signature color, also known as lime green / ebony, also known by some owners as Kawasaki racing team colors. And I must say, it's very nice, very Kawasaki-ish. No doubt, all eyes are on this bike. Up next, it comes to price. So according to Mamoto, machine price is 20,900. Some slight increase over there from when it was previously first launched, but I guess he has to keep up with inflation, right? Over here in Malaysia, the ZX-4RR does not exist, and instead the closest equivalent that they have is the locally branded Moderna's Ninja ZX ZX-4R. So Modernas assembles them locally with license from Kawasaki. Everything is the same as a Kawasaki except for its branding, which prominently says Modernas instead of Kawasaki. So to give some comparison, in Thailand, machine price is listed as 320,000 baht. So to translate that to Singapore dollars, it's like $12,052.73. Wow.
Feels as if like I'm riding a Class 2 versus a Class 2A. I think because of the power. It takes in the bend so well. You can feel the grip on the tarmac right now. It just handles like a dream, guys. Negotiating this bend right now, whoa. You feel really confident just going straight into it. This bike screams as you play with the throttle, man. Now being slightly aggressive with it. Oh man. It has quick shifter, but it doesn't come with an auto blipper. So every time you need to change gears, you'll need to off the throttle. Oh. I don't mind, man, going in the track with this bike right now. It's just an awesome handling machine. Engine braking is also very good. This is only in road mode, guys. For me, my biggest fear is putting it in sports mode, because the throttle, I feel like, is just too fast. Especially for me, and knowing the dangers and the fact that this is not my bike, then I don't want to drop it. I don't want to spoil the bike, so I'll just keep it in road mode for now. But the throttle response in sports mode is like, wow, this bike is just flying. Suspension is very good, surprisingly. It absorbs most of the bumps and minor imperfections. Even these regulators here that I'm going through right now, it absorbs most of the impact. Oh, relax, bro. Relax. It's a beast, at least for the Class 2A, you know. Who said you cannot have fun on a Class 2A bike? If you're a newbie, a Class 2A newbie, you never buy a Class 2B bike before, and straight away you hop on to the ZX-4RR. Wow, it's like, I don't think you want to go to any other bike, man. It's really a dream to ride it. Even in the idling sound right now, it's so loud, it's so prominent. The vibrations, it's like there's really no vibrations on the bike, man. It's just a comfortable ride. I cannot wait to bring this into the highway, guys, because this is the kind of bike that just wants to go. It doesn't belong on the city streets, but yet it's not too overpowering either. You can still keep it in control. It kind of reminds me of the R15M. Kawasaki has so many sports bikes, right? Even there's this Ninja 400, which is much more of a road bike, and this is like a track machine, right? So it kind of reminds me of the R15M with all these gimmicky features. Like the R15 has the base model, and the R15M is the sporty variant, which has all of these gimmicky sporty features such as the quick shifter, TFT display and all that. But this itself, it doesn't feel too gimmicky. It's a purpose built sports bike, or super bike in this case. It's a legacy of those in the 80s and 90s, you know, where we have small displacement motorcycles that packs a bunch of features, and Kawasaki has gladly brought it back to the modern era. Such a bike wouldn't make sense to those in the US or America or the Europeans even, but to Asians, because of Singapore's particularly unique licensing system following the Japanese, right? The 400cc makes sense. And of course, in developing markets also, Some riders can only afford to have one bike. And here in Singapore, don't get me started on all of the vehicle control laws and regulations that make vehicle ownership very expensive. So it just makes sense to have a class 2A that you can daily with, and at the same time easily transition to the track with all of these riding features and all that. It's not a bike that is converted from any existing platform like all of the Yamahas and Hondas, right? CBR 400 for example, or even the Yamaha R3, which is basically a MT-03 with the same chassis, the same engine, parallel twin engine, converted to a sports bike. But this itself, the ZX-4RR, is a purpose-built, totally fresh chassis, totally fresh engine. But I would reckon that, you know, if Kawasaki wants to do a versus 400cc versus with this engine, I think it's gonna do well. I've seen some reviewers in the US, they brought this back to the dirt roads, and it does pretty decently. And it's, for some reviewers, they complain, you know, that this bike is not really fast compared to other sports bikes and even the bigger super bikes. But if you ask me, you don't need a big bike or fast bike to have fun. This is just the perfect bike for the job. If you are limited by your finances, by your riding classes that you hold, why not go for the ZX-4RR, man? It's just gonna serve equally as good as any other big CC super bike. Okay, this is where the ZX-4RR belongs. I can feel the engine just wants to be on the highway right now. Oh man! Oh my god, 140. I brought it to 145 yesterday, but I think for me that is the fastest I'm able to do with it. This car just wants to tailgate me, man. I think he's jealous that I overtook him. But of course, because of the lack of windshield in front of you, you can feel the full force of the wind in your face and your body right now. But you can just use your stomach and lean it on the tank and go even lower. Man, it behaves much more like a class 2 bike, and the ZX-4RR does it without VTEC or any of those fancy valves, you know. Just a inline 4 engine that is so smooth, so stable, and the sound, you get that nice inline 4 sound. Oh man, I'm having fun. I think this is why a lot of reviewers and riders, they praise the ZX-4RR. It's a legend by itself, even during its launch. That says a lot about a bike, you know. And it will go down in history as a true inline 4 JDM in the modern era. And of course, I feel as if it can even go faster than that. But me being me, I don't dare to go faster lah. I don't have the balls. I don't have the balls, man. I need a breather. One heck of a ride. It's really one heck of a ride, especially on a 2A bike. So guys, I think I've had like 4 days with the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR, and I have to say that I'm pretty nervous. I'm still nervous right now about reviewing this bike because high expectations. It has a legendary status and also a cult status, and all over the world, even the Westerners, the Europeans, lots of reviews have already been done about this bike. So hopefully I get it correct. But regardless, I'm just gonna say what I've always believed in. So in conclusion, while other manufacturers would simply put an existing parallel twin and chassis with full fairings on it,
and repackaged it into a sports bike. I'm looking at you, Honda and Yamaha. I applaud Kawasaki for making the effort for putting premium features on what Western reviewers would say on a so-called budget or beginner motorcycle. And I have to say, at least for a Class 2A, you're definitely getting more than what you bargained for. In its heart, it's a top-tier street bike masquerading to be a super bike. Obviously, is to serve the needs of developing markets and also its home country in Japan by having a sports bike that transitions easily from the streets to the track. That dual purpose nature is to serve the needs of riders who can only afford to own one bike at a time, and this gives the owners such flexibility. Also for that sweet inline 4 that all riders seem to love. And obviously a parallel twin cannot mimic the smoothness and sound that only an inline 4 can achieve. And some riders may say, why bother getting a Class 2A, a souped up Class 2A, when you can just go over to a Class 2 and get the full package and go faster, right? Well, not everything needs to be accomplished with a high CC bike. You can equally have some fun and go fast on a smaller displacement bike as well. And the Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR is the perfect bike for it. As much as I don't really like sports bikes, as much as I don't really fancy them, I have to say that the Kawasaki ZX-4RR did leave a good impression on me. I have nothing but positive words for it. And it's a perfect bike. It's really a perfect bike, at least for a sports bike. And I wish that Kawasaki maybe would take this inline 4 and put it on an adventure chassis and bodywork. It will be the ultimate adventure bikes. So once again, huge thanks to the Riders Collective for loaning me this bike for the review, and also Moto for making the arrangements as well. You guys can check out this Kawasaki Ninja ZX-4RR at the Moto showroom and even test ride it by renting it from the Riders Collective. And don't forget to check out their other offerings as well. So that's it for the vlog. We'll see you guys in the next one.